It's hard to believe, but who's talking? It's the truth, isn't it? It was in the middle of the night, only the sounds of insects and snoring could be heard. Rika was sitting by her favorite window. Is she the one talking? Yes, Takano is the one who killed you, Rika. You and I both saw it. You tried so hard to remember Takano's face. Even as she cut your stomach open, you burnt her face into your memory while enduring all that pain. I guess she's, filled Rika in on the details. Because, she hid the details from Rika all those other times because she saw it as an unwinnable, kind of situation. So I feel like it would just be giving Rika her hopes up and stuff and give her more determination only to fall in the end. It's a horrible way to die. I'm glad I don't remember. But I can see it. That's the kind of death Takano would prefer. Still, I don't get it. Why would Takano kill me? I'm the Queen Carrier, and if I die, disaster will occur, right? Isn't that why the Eerie Institute and the Mountain Dogs are protecting me? Then why would Takano, their leader, have me killed? For that very reason, for the disaster to occur. Sorry, that was a useless question. Takano killed me. That's the truth, and her motive doesn't matter, does it? But still, why Takano? Though she just said that the motive didn't matter, Rika went back to the same question. The reason why Takano was protecting the Queen Carrier wasn't because she wanted to prevent the rest of Hanyuu from developing the syndrome. It was because the Queen Carrier was an extremely valuable subject of her research. And considering that value, why did she kill the Queen Carrier with her own two hands? Is Takano my only enemy? The Mountain Dogs are after you too. I don't know if Eerie is your enemy or not, but I don't think he is. I mean, they didn't really see what happened to Eerie, really, did they? I mean, they just see the Mountain Dogs and Takano. Eerie wasn't with them. I mean, we've seen, at the end of previous arcs, that Eerie supposedly, supposedly being the key word, allegedly, maybe, killed himself, but, it's kind of obvious what really happened there, isn't it? Takano and the Mountain Dogs are my enemies. You've got to be kidding me. How can we possibly win? And this is exactly why Hanyuu was like, I didn't want to tell you about it, because you'd feel even more hopeless. There's no way. Unless there's a miracle of some kind, we can't fight against people like them. Besides, Matsuribayashi is this Sunday. I'll be killed on the 22nd. It's in about a week or so, right? How can we beat them in such a short amount of time? Should we try going after Takano with a metal axe? That won't work, she's only one of them. Even if we take her out, the Mountain Dogs will still get us. What do we do? What should we do? Well, I don't know either, but we didn't even know our enemy before now. It's time we do. There must be something that we can do. You said we, implying her and Rika, but she's known all along because she's seen it happen each time. Does she just magically forget, or is she just trying to be distance the memory of it? This was the first time in a long time that Hanyuu had spoken so positively. Rika was startled for a moment and realized that she was losing her cool. She took a deep breath and tried to calm herself down. She's like, it looks like she's about to slap Rika. It's like, Rika, for fuck's sake, we went for so much. I finally step in after all that happened in the previous world. And I was like, okay, I'll finally join. And we will together take over this. And you're like, oh, it's so hopeless. Snap out of it, Rika. Where's your determination gone? She was still confused that Takano was the culprit. Rika was thought of Takano as her ally. There were, after all, many reasons why Takano should treat her well. Rika couldn't even think of one reason why Takano would want to kill her. Still, Takano was always thinking about bizarre things. There's no guarantee that a crazy idea of hers couldn't become a motive. So that means if Tomitake is killed, then is he an ally? I think he is. That's an idea, Rika. You should talk to Tomitake. I don't think Tomitake would take it seriously. He'd probably kind of brush off. The last time To be fair, the last time they didn't, tell me. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, Takano, she's gonna try to kill you later, so be aware of that. They were more of, you might be killed, in danger, someone's after you or something. They didn't specify Takano because they didn't know at the time, and he still died anyway. Takano was accompanied by the mountain dogs because of an organization named Tokyo. Organization named Tokyo. Just like, can you imagine that? It's like, oh, so, you're an organization named Tokyo. Where's your headquarters? Hokkaido. Well, what the fuck did you call it Tokyo for? It's like, well, you can't, call your organization Tokyo and, function from Tokyo, because that's a bit weird, isn't it? It's a bit weird to have your organization named Tokyo. It's like, I don't know, maybe it's just because Rika doesn't actually know what the actual organization is, I guess. So could Rika ask for help only from someone affiliated with that organization? Hey, so could Rika ask for help only from someone... Oh, that's where Akasak would come into play then. But Akasak is not really related to that. But there were a lot of shady goings on with the fundings, and the whole reason that shit ends up, going the way it does is because they stopped defunding the Enbizawa syndrome research, and and then all that happens leading up to this point, happens with Takano. So could Rika ask for help only from someone affiliated with that organization? In that case, Tomitaka was the only one she could talk to about the issue. I mean, I guess there is Tomitaka. He is affiliated with this organization. But he's not, part of the plan that Takano ends up, kind of being pushed towards, after some, I mean, the woman didn't even have a name or anything, but some woman, with her words, took advantage of Takano in her worst state and just like, what you want revenge, right? Those people who mocked your grandfather's work, you want revenge on them, you want to prove that he was right, don't you? Well, how about if you do this? That's probably how it's played out. And something about Irie might also be worth having a talk with. But then, that was why she needed to know. She needed to know why Takano wanted to kill her. Unless she could explain that, they probably wouldn't even believe her. Besides, Tomitaka was in love with Takano. He wouldn't doubt her so easily. Well, yeah. Irie seemed to be keeping a little distance from Takano. He might be a little more inclined to believe. But as someone who was simply a doctor, he knew little about Tokyo. He might end up being useless to Rika. Then, should she call the police? No way, definitely no way. There's no way they would believe her. If she were to make a call and say that a strange organization named Tokyo was trying to kill her, they would think she was crazy. Just like, what? The city of Tokyo is trying to kill you? Then what could she do? How could she save herself? The scariest people in Imizawa were coming to kill her. How could she run from them? How could she fight them? How? If she had remembered the scene of Takano killing her, then she wouldn't have been so confused. And she'd probably be a bit more determined because she'd remember it all and be like, I'm gonna get you this time, Takano, you won't stop us. We'll make this miracle happen, you're going down. And, she probably doesn't remember the whole, fragments. It's like, oh, look, Akasaka, yeah. We finally were able to reach him. So she probably forgot all about that as well. I don't know. Maybe she only forgot the events of the end of the previous arc. I should remember the same one. Because seeing is believing. But she didn't remember. This was just what Hanyuu was telling her. She didn't want Takano to be her enemy. This was the truth she didn't want to accept, so she was tempted to just say that this was all simply Hanyuu's delusion. Calm down, Rika. We learned in our past life. Don't you remember the previous world? Previous world? You mean the one where Renner spread gasoline all over the school and locked everyone inside? No, the world after that. Don't you remember? What, she doesn't even remember a damn thing from that world? Well, that's troublesome. In that world he came back. Teppei Hojo did. It's the worst possible world. No matter what we do, the counselors won't do anything. Satoko goes insane in a few days. Well, that makes sense now. Because if she can't remember that world, that's the world that showed her fate can be changed. Sure, the world where, Keiichi was able to get Rena to come to her senses in the end of her murderous rampage that she almost went on. He was able to stop that, and he was like, maybe fate can be changed, but it was only like a glimmer of it, because the Hinomizawa disaster still happened afterwards. And in the previous arc, the one thing that's never been able to overcome Satoko's uncle coming back, and they proved that together they can even change that. But since she's forgotten the events of that world, she's lost that determination in her, where she's like, you know what, yeah, we can do this. No matter what we do, the counselors won't do anything. Satoko goes insane within a few days. Someone from our circle of friends developed the syndrome and attacked Teppei, right? No. In the previous world, we all went to the child constellation center and saved Satoko. That world, Keiichi taught you so much. He taught you that you have to believe, otherwise a miracle would occur. He also said that if everyone believes, our wishes will definitely come true. Not sure it's something Keiichi would say. That's great. To defeat the world where Teppei returns. We couldn't do anything about that world even once before. Do you know how Keiichi and the others in that world made a miracle happen? They talked to everyone. They didn't convince themselves it was useless or agonize over it by themselves. They asked everyone for help. That's how they brought about a miracle. Everyone. So you want me to talk to Keiichi and the others about Takano? Do you really think they would believe me if I told them an organization like Tokyo is after me? Yes, they will. They did in the previous world. Why won't you believe me, Rika? Sorry, it's not that I don't believe you. You saw it, so it's the truth, isn't it? I had no idea how frustrating it would be not to remember it myself. Anyway, you and me went on about this, we won't solve anything. We don't have enough power on our own. But we have our weapon. Our weapon is the truth. We don't know our motive, but we know that the culprit is Takano. So this is a very good start compared to the other worlds. But why? Why can't you remember at the very end? And why are they, talking possibly quite loudly while Satoko is sleeping in the same room? Hanyuu ground her teeth remorsefully. She saw the truth just a short time ago, so she couldn't believe that Rika didn't remember anything. If it was something she had seen herself, then she wouldn't even need a motive. But she hadn't, and that was why she couldn't understand. Why was her memory missing even when Hanyuu's memory was still intact? Did that mean their long journey was about to end? Perhaps her infinitely repeating journey was always over, and this was the last world of all. Well, it is the final answer, Ark. Phew, I thought this world was odd since everyone could see you and you even transferred to our school. Now I can really see how strange of a world this is. There's nothing strange about it. This is just the final world, that's all. I came to this final world so we can gather all of our power. I'm not a bystander here. I'm your ally. I see. You're no longer a bystander, huh? I've decided not to be afraid anymore. I'm not afraid, and I'm going to believe with all of you. And a miracle will happen. This is a world we can bet on. This June of 1983. Rika and Takano are fighting. If Rika doesn't defeat her enemy in time, she will lose. Takano has many powerful pieces like the mountain dogs. Rika will need a lot more pieces to be able to defeat her. So unless Rika asks for help from many people and gathers an equal number of pieces, the game won't even begin. We've learned the rules of this game board by playing the game repeatedly. It's like a game without a manual, but we've learned the rules and now we know how to fight. We're ahead in the game because we already know what pieces our enemy has. Rika, you have to get busy. We only have 1 week before Tanagashi. We had 2 weeks in the previous world, but we only have 1 week in this one. In other words, this is our final chance. Okay. Rather than grieving over what I don't remember, I should be grateful that you do. Because if you didn't, this final world would end while we ran around in confusion. Also, if I talk to Keiichi and the others in the right way, maybe they'll come up with some good ideas. Because he was the one who fought with Verena in the previous world, and when the school was about to explode, he brought her back. Exactly. Anyway, let's go talk to anyone we can find. We're too weak by ourselves. Let's gather people and think about what to do. We have to take our first steps towards a miracle. And we have to do that within a week. Hanyuu had never encouraged her like this before. She was always the opposite, really, wasn't she? She had always pretended to be a bystander. She never wanted to go through the pain of failure, so she never had expectations for anything. But now she was trying to intervene in his will so passionately and proactively. According to Hanyuu, there had been another world after the one in which Rena occupied the school. Apparently, Keiichi really inspired her in that world. Rika had nothing to lose. She had to talk to whoever she thought she could trust. You know, it's weird. Like, how the series started. It started out with Keiichi as the protagonist for the first 3 arcs. And you're just like, so is Keiichi like kind of the main character? He's the protagonist. But then once you get like to the answer arcs, it kind of like, starts to, unfold. Other characters become the main character for their own arc and whatnot. Like Shion was like Miyakashi's protagonist. The protagonist of the arc after that, which I forget the name of, but it's the one where Rena was the protagonist. Then after that you had Rika as the protagonist, and Rika seems like the genuine protagonist of the series when you think about it, because it all revolves around her, really. But the stories from the other arcs kind of go off on their own as well. But that's the main thing. You can see Rika as the main protagonist. But Keiichi is also like you can see them all as kind of being main. They're all main characters, obviously, but it's like the main ones gotta be like Rika and Keiichi, because Keiichi is like seems to play such an important role in like shifting, the tides of fate or whatever the blah you want to call it, And Rika is, the one who's like all pessimistic and just like, oh, going through these worlds is so tiring and so depressing. 100 years of this shit is like it's driven me to drink. Fucking bullshit, I say. There's no hope. And Keiichi's, with those previous arcs, inspired Rika to, think maybe it's not so hopeless. Maybe we can make something work. You never know. She had to talk to whoever she thought she could trust. Well, she tried or not, she had only a very short time left. She decided to do whatever she possibly could until that time arrived. She would never again act like it was cool to sip wine and pretend to be a witch as the end closed upon her. I was just pretty much describing it perfectly as like, fuck it, I'm just gonna sip my wine. I don't care. Could this be the woman? Hello, it has been a while. This is Nomura. Yes, thank you for the detailed documents from the other day. Thanks to that our men from the Ministry of Health and Welfare now understand how dangerous Hanyuu syndrome is. That's the accomplishment of you and the late Dr. Takano. If only made sure that you receive your fair assessment is all. Anyway, I'll make sure the Prime Minister reads your documents. He's our leader, after all. I'll have the most important person in this country read your article. Make sure he understands what important research this is and why Hanyuu syndrome is an issue that needs his attention. Also, I'll make sure the present board of directors realize how stupid they were to ignore your research and ridicule your grandfather's thesis. Indeed. I have good news for you. We've decided that after the operation is completed, the actual location will be isolated and shut down. Another department of the SDF will take over the research. You'll be welcome there, and you'll be able to continue your research for as long as you want, without worrying about political factions or funding. That's all thanks to your generous client who wants to reward you for your hard work. You'll be given the position of director, so you can devote yourself to your research. Isn't that wonderful? Finally, you'll be able to accomplish something that overturns common knowledge by researching enemy Tau syndrome and the existence of parasites that influence human thought. No, I'm not just saying that to flatter you. That's what we really think. I see. Sorry to take up your time. I'll be going now. I'll get in touch with you again. The woman put down a handset of her car phone, then she picked it up again and made another call. So who's this now? Wait, what? I can't tell who's talking. Is it the woman talking on the phone or the person she's called? Was he using aliases? I don't know. Please transfer me to extension 1001. Yes, this is Watanabe. Watanabe. Yes. The issue from the other day has been taken care of. Yes, Major Takano's documents are wonderful. I made some people from the National Research Center go along, so the men believed it without questioning. Yes, it's no problem either. Most of the cabinet ministers from the enemy factions will be either leaving the country or going on vacation, so they'll be out of Tokyo after the 20th. So it's all pretty much just an elaborate plan to them. They use Takano's passion for making her grandfather's research a reality, to get her to go along with creating this disaster to completely ruin the reputations of these people so that their faction can, get more power. Yes, there are still some unsettled issues, but everything will be set by June 23rd. Yes. Therefore, the on-site operation will take place at midnight on June 22nd, and the Prime Minister will be asked for emergency sanctions on the 23rd. Yes, everyone aiding the Prime Minister on that day will be our people. You won't even question a thing. Yes, I'm certain. The Prime Minister will definitely sign Emergency Manual 34. Afterward, an investigation into Alphabet's duties will be taken up, and the Yokono, Chiba, and old Koizumi factions will lose a great deal of sway. Yes, that's right. It's only a matter of time before we succeed with the Asian Amenity and Reconstruction Summit. Wait. So, well, from what we've seen, it's like whoever took over after Koizumi passed was clearly not on the side of Koizumi, where it was funding that. They were against it. But still, this is kind of just I don't know, all this is it's kind of obvious really. They're just using Takano. They're not really on her side or anything. They just see her as a valuable pawn that they can use to gain more power. That's true. If there's money to spend on developing domestic nuclear arms or the Japanese-American alliance spanning the Pacific, then it would be more profitable for our nation to spend it on ODA toward China. 21st century will be the era of China, with their nation claiming a good portion of the world's population. Japan gets nothing out of wagging its tail for the US anymore. Yes, I know, the 21st century is almost here. Well, it's already here. But this was... Well, technically, this was written in the 21st century, unless the Higurashi series is older than I think it is. But it takes place in the 80s, so yeah. Yet we're still saying that communism is the greatest evil. Maybe we've been watching too many bad American propaganda movies. Yes, I understand. Okay, then I'll see you in next week. Can't pronounce that. Yes, I love to gamble. Yes, it was nice talking to you. I'll get in touch with you soon. The woman put down the handset of her car phone and took a breath. So is she using different names then? She smiled in satisfaction, then picked up the handset again. Give me the Chief Cabinet Secretary, please. Yes, this is Maizawa. Oh my gosh, it really is. Yes, it's me, Chief Okano. It's like, you know, if we think that Takano is evil for all the shit she's done, this person right here is like the devil. Just that whispers in her ears. It's like, let's do this, Takano. Do it and all will be well. She's just doing this all for herself. She wants power. There are no tips though, right? Yeah. God, I didn't say what the achievement was. Anytime an achievement pops up, I'm like, achievement unlocked, blah blah. And I didn't really look at it properly. Moving on. Whatever's going on? Rika, you're not behaving normally this morning. You think so? Am I acting strange? I don't know how to say it, but you seem much more mature today. How Rika's being mature. How, star. Only Rika gets to use the stars, and maybe occasionally, Rena. I forget if she ever has to stop randomly in her dialogue. And you don't tease me today. You too, Satoko. Please don't mess around. I don't feel like it. About a week counted from today, huh? Satoko gave me a perplexed look. Maybe she thought I didn't feel well. I want to talk to Keiichi and the others, including Satoko, but I don't know how or where to begin. We all like to joke around a lot, so they might not take me seriously. How can I get them to understand the danger I'm in? Good morning to you, Chie Sensei. Oh, you're here as well, Coach. Good morning to you, too. Good morning, Satoko-chan, Rika-chan. Oh my, oh my. Is that a headband for maids that you're wearing? That's against the school regulations. You will be punished. Dr. Irie, stop acting like that at school. Coach, Rika doesn't seem to be feeling well this morning. Why do you check her over, please? Oh, what's the matter? Did you catch colds? I feel like I caught a cold. I still don't know how to tell my friends, but Irie, at least it's on our side, is on our side. Maybe I can talk to him more directly. If I keep thinking about it, I'll still be thinking at the end of the day. Maybe I'll start with him. And you nodded as if saying that was a good idea. Wow, Satoko, let's play a trick on Keiichi. Let's do something to his chair. Oh, please, it's a trap, not a trick. I'll teach you how to set a trap for Keiichi-san. It's just like, Hanyu's just like learning bad habits already. It's like, oh yeah, here's how you set pranks for people. Ow. Hanyuu and Satoko ran to the classroom. Hanyuu must have left on purpose. I have to use this chance she's given me. Irie, can I talk to you in the nurse's office? Sure, that's fine. Let's go there. Irie probably thinks I'm going to talk to him about Hanyuu syndrome, so he agreed to go somewhere people can hear. If there's any chance in my change in my physical condition, it could be a sign of something very serious. Even if it's just a simple cold, Irie is very concerned about my health. What's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Irie, I'm going to tell you something odd, but I want you to take it seriously. It's a very important matter. I gave Irie the sternest look I've ever shown him as I spoke. Irie usually acts like an idiot, but he can be an adult when he needs to be. Seeing the expression on my face, Irie started to look more grieved himself. I was expecting the look on his face where his glasses get clouded so where you can't see his eyes, when he makes the ultimate serious expression. How do I start? Okay. Irie, I'm the Queen Carrier, right? Yes, the parasite that lives in your body is different from everyone else's. What happens if I die? Like I told you before, something terrible will happen. No, to be precise, we believe something terrible will happen. After all, it's impossible to verify until you die. However, several cases involving social brain parasites similar to those of the Hanyuu syndrome have showed that the death of the Queen Carrier can cause mass suicides or riots. That would be Takano-san's area of expertise. Maybe you should ask her instead. I don't know much about it myself. In other words, Takano knows better than anybody that if I die, something terrible will happen. More than ever, I don't know why Takano wants to kill me. There's no way I can figure it out myself. Irie is here with me right now. Maybe he'll know. I should ask him. Irie, please don't ask any questions or just answer. Would there be something to gain from killing me? Oh, there's the serious expression. What? Kill you? Rika-san? Who would? Irie, you aren't supposed to ask any questions, remember? Sorry. No, I can't think of anything. There isn't anyone who would benefit from your death. I repeat, if something happens to the Queen Carrier, all infected persons will reach the terminal stage within 48 hours. That's what makes the syndrome so dangerous. The scale of disaster will be far greater than any individual case of paranoia or psychosis. Does anyone profit from that disaster? No way. Killing you is tantamount to killing all 2,000 villagers. Nobody would consider that for a minute, even as a joke. If I die, all the residents of Inibizao will go insane and even kill each other. What a perfect ending for people who are descended from demons, huh? Could that be what Takano wants? Since she always talks about dangerous and bizarre things, it's obvious she enjoys cruelty. She always talks about how she wants to witness with her own eyes the raw brutality of the man-eating demons she reads about in the dark history of Onikavich village. It's possible that she wants to be dead just so all the villagers will develop terminal symptoms. Of course, that's in the worst case. So if something happens to you, there's an emergency measure we're supposed to follow. An emergency measure? I've never heard of anything like that. I've never told you this before. It's rather an unpleasant measure, so that's why I never mentioned it. The Institute's top priority is protecting the Queen Carrier. But if you die and all infected persons develop terminal symptoms, we're supposed to go ahead with a contingency plan. That's understandable. If all 2,000 villagers were to go insane, there would be no guarantee that the devastation would remain in the village. Obviously, it's a good idea to be prepared for the worst case scenario. There are these things called emergency manuals, and amongst them the one for the worst possible disaster. In other words, in the event of your death, it's called Emergency Manual 34. So, that's what happens. Emergency Manual 34, that plan gets put into place, and all the villagers die before, which kind of seems, like, for Takano, it's like, oh yeah, sure, it shows, like, how serious the incident was. It's like, oh yeah, your grandfather was right, but it doesn't prove anything, because as they go through in that plan, they don't confirm whether it was legit or not. You don't really get to see if, like, maybe everyone does completely go batshit insane after Rika's death. We don't really, see that happen. What happens with that? If all the villagers go insane, they'll be exterminated. To be exact, a special unit from the self-defense force will seal off enemies out and kill the villagers using poisonous gas. I've never heard of that before either. Yeah, she wouldn't have even heard about that in the previous world where she found out about Takano and all that either. Because, or maybe... No, I don't think she got the full detail on that. They're just like, I don't know, they're just like, the man and dogs are just targeting Rika. She didn't, like, realize that the target was everyone as well as Rika. Rika's the main target to initiate the target for everyone else. Sorry, I don't really like talking about it. But if you've, seen the other arcs, there have been exceptions where one of the characters actually survives the Great Inmizao's disaster. I mean, they ultimately end up dying at some point afterwards as well, but, they survived those events. I remember under the previous arc, I'm not going to say which character it was or what arc it is to avoid spoiling it too much, but, like, they survived it and, like, they were, like, surprised. It's like, wait, you're a survivor? Wait, it's just like, but wait, just like we didn't know at the time. It's like, but we did, how, but should, no, like, just play cool. It's like, okay, yeah, you're a survivor, yeah. Did I read that? Sorry, I didn't really like talking about it. I'm not surprised. I've been interested in things that happen before I die, but not in things that happen after I'm dead. Yeah, she should really have, thought a bit more about that as well. It's like, but to be fair, she's just like, she dies and moves on to the next world. Who cares about that world at that point? You're dead. You're moving on to the next one. But yeah, thinking ahead, it'd be like, yeah, it would be kind of curious, wouldn't it? It'd be like, what happens after that? I mean, we've seen the aftermath of it a few times in previous arcs, but Rika obviously doesn't get to experience that. And hell, I don't think Hanyuu does either, because they, they go to the next world. And there seems to be like this kind of state of limbo in between it, as seen from the fragment section and stuff like that, where it's like, I guess Hanyuu and Rika are just kind of chilling out in some limbo state or whatever before moving on to the next world. It's like, okay, let's reflect on this for a bit. Okay, all done, next world. This disaster only takes place after I die. I had no idea something like this occurs every single time. Or rather, I'm the cause. If the enemy is capable of erasing an entire village, then killing a little girl like me won't be a problem at all. Yeah, if anything, learning this makes her situation all the more bleak, really, doesn't it? And you were telling me to just talk to everyone, but can I really stand against an opponent like that? Anyway, the existence of this emergency manual changes everything. Takano's motive no longer makes sense. I thought her goal was for all the villagers to go mad and slaughter each other like demons. Yeah, that is a bit of an odd thing, really, isn't it? You'd think Takano would want that, so that it would, prove once and for all that her grandfather's research was right. By killing all the villagers themselves, it's not genuine, isn't it? Because, it'd be like just seen as a great disaster that happens. But according to what Irie said, that wouldn't even happen. The villagers will be all killed before it does. Hey, did I read all that? I always have a habit of going off in a ramble. Yeah, I read that. I'm not Takano, so I can't be sure, but I don't think that would be fun for her. It doesn't make sense to kill me for that purpose, especially since we have known each other for such a long time. Do you think it's possible for Takano and the Mountain Dogs to kill me? Don't be stupid. That's just impossible. Takano-san's #1 priority is to protect you. One of the Mountain Dogs' main duties is to watch over you. That's simply unthinkable. Irie, even so, supposing Takano wanted to kill me, can you think of a motive for her doing so? No, I can't. She knows better than anybody about the danger of the Queen Carrier. Besides, as you're well aware, she's very passionate about our research into the syndrome. Killing you would put an end to that source of her passion. But Irie, Hanyuu's syndrome is supposed to be eradicated within 3 years, isn't it? In other words, you're going to destroy the disease. What does Takano think about that? Well, Hanyuu's syndrome is the target of treatment for me, but for Takano-san it's research material. Actually, she's strongly against the plan to eradicate it within 3 years. She's even made a trip to Tokyo to request an indefinite extension of the project from the board of directors. She wasn't successful, though. So what you're saying is that Takano wants to continue her research, but Hanyuu's syndrome is going to be eradicated within 3 years. So Takano's going to lose the subject of her research, isn't she? I guess you can say that. I think I see something here. The Area Institute isn't a small organization. It's being managed by a lot of people and it receives a great deal of funding. That's the only way they can even research the syndrome. So if the Area Institute is planning to put an end to the research within 3 years, there really isn't much Takano can do about it. If it's all going to end anyway, then maybe she wants to shake things up. No way. Something like that can't possibly happen. But you know how she is, right? She would do it. She would kill me if she wanted to. Don't you think? No way. No way. Something as horrible as that just isn't possible. I feel like I'm starting to see Takano's motive, but seems like there must be more. After all, the project will continue for at least 3 additional years. It's possible that during those 3 years, Takano's request will be approved and their research will get an extension. Or the opposite, it'd be like, you know what? Get it done in just 1 year. In other words, the research is guaranteed to continue for a minimum of 3 more years. Given those 3 years, why is she so desperate now? It's because, the devil spoke in her ear, you could say. That woman. I wonder who she is. Like, are we gonna find out any details about her? Or is there gonna be, like, something really bizarre to it? Where it's like, oh yeah, she really was like a demon or something. You'd be like, okay, well that's a freaking dumb twist. In those 3 years, why is she so desperate now? Besides, Mo was killed in June 1983. The date may change a bit, but I'm uninformed. That must be the result of her strong willpower. Wait, the date may change a bit? Has it ever changed? I think maybe in the previous arc it was like, maybe it was delayed by a little bit, like a couple hours at most, maybe? Yeah, it was, because they're friends, yeah. So, the day was changed by like, just 1 day, really. It didn't really change too much, though, did it? It would be one thing if their research was being terminated immediately. She still has 3 years, yet she's already getting desperate. Her motive is too weak. She must be possessed of the strong conviction that it was to be June 1983. After that, no matter how I questioned Irie, he kept repeating that there was no way Takano would kill me, so I don't see how he could be of any more help. However, if I'm able to explain Takano's motive, then I think he will be my ally. But for now, I think this is all I can do with him. I'm going to talk to Tomitaki too. Tomitaki is a lot closer to Tokyo than Irie is. You know what would be cool? A Higurashi arc where you have this kind of play out, but you're like kind of like a detective, where you like have like a map of Hinamizawa and like all the characters in different locations. You can choose where to go. It's just like, who should I talk to next? And you've got to like do it in specific order to get the right thing, otherwise you'll get a bad end or something. That'd be cool. It'd be more interactive, I'm going to talk to Tomitaki too. Tomitaki is a lot closer to Tokyo than Irie is. Maybe he can tell me something Irie can't. I hope I can learn some important things from him too, enough to convince him that Takano has a strong enough motive to kill me. Tomitaki should be visiting Hinamizawa around this time. Pardon me, but he spends a lot of time with Takano, but he often takes walks by himself to enjoy photographing birds too. I'll try finding him when he's not with Takano and talking to him then. And talking to him then. Shouldn't it be and talk to him then? I mean, is he ever seen without Takano when he's going around Hinamizawa? I don't think so. Though Tomitaki does have strong feelings towards Takano. I'm worried he won't listen to me as seriously as Irie did. Thank you very much. I'm going back to the classroom. If you find something about Takano, please let me know. Rika-san, why do you think Takano-san is trying to kill you? You haven't developed symptoms, have you? If you're doubting me, then would you like to run a test right now? I said some terrible things out of blue, so I don't blame him for becoming suspicious. Well, thanks to the rapid diagnostic tests Irie had developed at this point, it was easy to prove her syringe. I just had to submit to the needle to show that I haven't developed terminal symptoms. Results were negative, of course. It's just impossible for Takano-san too. Just impossible. Maybe now Irie believes that is a possibility that Takano is trying to kill me. And he'll probably, the closer it gets to the date, the more and more he'll become convinced of it, probably. I left the nurse's office. I hope Irie will grow curious about Takano and try to find out something about her. And, hopefully not get killed in the process. So how was it, Rika? Did you find out anything? Well, yes and no. It's hard to say, but there are a couple of interesting things. One is how the Ear Institute is trying to eradicate the syndrome within 3 years. Takano doesn't like the idea. She went to Tokyo to petition for the continuation of her research, but they refused. That might cause her to become desperate. The second is this thing called Emergency Manual 34. Supposedly if I die, they will be executed and the whole village will be murdered by poisonous gas. Ow, 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 ow. They say that when I die, the villagers will develop terminal symptoms, right? First I thought that Takano wants me dead because she wants to see that happen. But since there is such an emergency manual, the village will be gone long before then. So that can't be her motive. Every time I ask Ire, all he says is that it isn't possible. According to him, Takano understands the importance of the situation better than anybody. Therefore, she doesn't have any reason to kill me. Ow, wow, 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 wow. I know I've only asked Ire so far. It's possible we can learn more information or wisdom from other people too. That's right. Unless we bring everyone's power together, a miracle won't occur. So Hanyuu didn't confirm whether or not she'd ever hear to that. I mean, I can't imagine how she would have, unless she stuck around at the end of each world long enough to see how that plays out. Because I just assume, like, after Rika dies, Hanyuu goes with her. She doesn't stick around for the fireworks display of everyone dying, so she wouldn't have known. We need that miracle to defeat our enemies. It's almost lunchtime. That'll be a good chance to talk to everyone. But the problem is whether or not they'll take it seriously when I talk to them. Once I start talking about the secret society, Tokyo, they'll obviously ask what manga I'm talking about. I need to figure out a good way to discuss it so I avoid misunderstandings. Oh, I think it'll be better to be honest with them without really thinking too much about it. You really think so? Let's just try. Tell them in the way I'll teach you, and I'm sure I'll take Tell them in the way I'll teach you, and I'm sure they'll take you seriously and help out. Is that weirdly worded, or is it just me? Tell them in the way I'll teach you. What? It's just weirdly worded. Still not sure, but Hanyuu seems very confident. Hanyuu has spent her life observing various people. She had never talked to me on directly before this life, but she knows her better than I do. I talk to everyone during lunchtime, and the way that Hanyuu taught me. Gotta rally the troops!